He Wentz.
What's up, man? How are you?
What's up, dude? How are you, man?
You know,
Yeah.
hanging in there.
Well, I was going to say, it's so funny, and we've done this a couple of times. When you ask, how are you, it's like an easy thing to say at the beginning of a conversation, how are you? But it
Totally.
means a little bit more these days, like for real. Like how are you? Are you hanging in there? Things going okay?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's a little like what is that? My children are a little bit like what's his name from when in what the heck is the name of that? What is it? Watchmen? Is that the name of
Oh,
the? A little bit
yeah.
like when the first one when he's like, like I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. It's like a little bit that vibe. You
That's
know what I
funny.
mean?
How old? Wait, I have two kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. The way my wife describes it is that scene in Step Brothers when they wake up and but they're sleepwalking and they're just knocking everything over, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like that all of the time. So
Mine are I have an 11, a 5, and a 2, and the 2-year-old or the almost 2-year-old, she's like that scene, but like a little more. She isn't sleepwalking. It's all very deliberate choices. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like it's yeah, it's all her choices. You know what I mean?
I do.
So
Yeah, I know that thing where they've got something. Cats do this too, where they have something, they look you right in the eye, they just push it over.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
her for sure.
And they're like, what?
100%.
What? Big day for you, my man. I appreciate you taking the time to check in
Yeah.
with us. There's this song that you have put out with Cheap Cuts. And I didn't know if you could help me with Cheap Cuts because I don't know anything about Cheap Cuts.
Yeah.
Who are these dudes? How did you meet them? What's the story behind Cheap
Oh,
Cuts?
totally. Yeah, they're producer writers in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just always like listening to new music. Usually I'm trying to find something like an artist to sign or just stuff to listen to. And I'd come upon some of their music and we talked about, like, for a long time I've been trying to do a version of this song Sunscreen, this like it's a song that I think was like a mid 90s song that's you probably know it.
Boz Lerman, 1997. Everybody's free
97.
to wear sunscreen. I do know
Yeah,
that song.
the Boz song. And it's like self-referential but irreverent, and it's just a really great song. It like really captured that year, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do it a couple times, and the times I've tried a version of that song, it never came out right. Like I try to do it about 10 years ago, and it just felt like angry and misguided.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind check your phone was more irreverent, and it was more like this kind of like anxiety that we all feel. And that's what we're in. Like it's bizarre to be in a time when everyone has like kind of very similar fears and similar anxiety. And all my friends that I talk to all wake up at 4 a.m. and can't sleep. Like it's very interesting. And it's like you live in this, like, if you're not an essential worker on the front line, you're probably living this like very monotonous day, but it's like Groundhog's Day. But like at the same time, you're like, how does it end? Like what, you know what I mean? Like what is the ending? So we're all kind of living inside of that. And this song, honestly, we wrote about 6 months ago, and then it was like, oh my God, it bizarrely makes a lot of sense in the world we're in right now. And it's like, not that we could have ever predicted that, you know what I mean? It's not it just takes on a different meaning, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that is, I think that is one of the characteristics of a good song, is that it can mean one thing or it can be written in a specific time about a specific thing, but have universal appeal to apply to different situations. And that's exactly kind of what has happened. And that was going to be one of my questions, is the timing, and if this was a recent thing or if it just applies to now because it's more universal. And it seems like,
yeah, I think it applies to now. I mean, the video, a lot of, like, we were going to shoot like a real video for it, but obviously that's different in quarantine. So we kind of put together a video from the internet. So like that has been fun and at the same time like a little harebrained to do. All of it's like, like there's a photo that we're using for like a press photo that I'm using for a press photo. My like 11-year-old shot it, you know what I mean? Because it's like, how are you gonna do stuff? Like how do you do stuff now? I feel like we're in the hat wearing week of quarantine, right? where
Well,
you're
as I
like,
said,
I haven't been able to be groomed in, a month now, and we're officially there, right?
you and I are on different ends of the spectrum because I just couldn't deal with it
Oh, you
anymore.
shaved it. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just went for it. And
I'm
I had some
about there.
wine and just went for it.
Yeah, I'm about there, honestly. Did you shave it yourself?
I did. It was easy and so freeing. Yeah,
Did
I
you feel
feel so
liberated?
liberated. Yes,
Yeah, I
liberated is
can
exactly
imagine.
the word.
I'm
Uh,
almost there, man. I'm almost there, honestly.
it feels good. It did. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did a little time lapse video of it. It feels great.
Totally.
The song is good, and I like the way that you described kind of how you tried a version of the song and you said that it was negative, and this kind of felt like a more right version. I feel like anybody that writes I feel like whenever you hear not criticism of phone culture or anything like that, it's always the perspective of like an old man on the soapbox going, "You kids in your phone."
Yeah,
And
totally.
this song does not feel like this song feels like someone who understands that culture, who is in that culture, and who is kind of empathizing. Like, this is what we are dealing with. We know that it's essential, but maybe it's not always the most healthy thing. That's
Totally
the feeling that I got. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's like we live in a gray area where human beings are contradictory people. You know what I mean? Like, and I am a contradictory person. There's a parts of me that are like, oh my God, this thing gives me such anxiety, but at the same time, I'm like, what is the funniest thing I've seen on here today? You know what I mean? It's like a strange thing, or like I'm telling my kids like, don't be on your devices, but then I'm like looking at mine. It's like all these things that are like, it's a strange place we live in, to inhabit, and like to have the vastness of the whole world at your fingertips, but at the same time, I use it for like the stupidest stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I'm like using it for games and that kind of stuff. Like I think that to me, it's also like a weird thing. So I'll be 41 in June. So like I'm of the generation, I don't know where you are, but I'm of the generation where I grew up like my childhood was without it, and
Mm-hmm.
all of my adulthood is with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very strange thing, and I think it's even stranger for kids who are growing up with it, because like I can't imagine being like, it's like you're always connected to everybody all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
in some ways I think that that's probably great, but in some ways it's kind of terrifying, because if you're having like going through something, does it ever end? Like it's this cycle that just keeps, I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is. I'm not far behind you. I'm August 1979. Sounds like you're June 1979. And yeah, I very much remember the world kind of before this. And
if you ever want to know about those 2 months, let me know, man.
Yeah, well, gosh, how was it? It just, everybody talks about it like it was the greatest, and I missed out. But you're absolutely right. It has taken some evolution, and it has taken kind of learning, and it has taken some with kids and a new generation, some understanding about how it must be to grow up in a world where this is always here and it's always present. And this song, I think, very much speaks to that with real understanding.
Did you guys stay on a schedule? We had a schedule for like 4 days, and then now it's like, let's just survive every day. Let's make it from the beginning to the end, with everybody still, breathing and happy. Not happy, everyone's still breathing.
I think like a lot of people, man, we have good days and bad days. There are days where all of the positives from this extremely bad situation are shining very bright, and we're just like, man, what a special time, what a cool time. When is our family ever going to have a time like this? Or when I'm able to connect to my parents and that sort of thing in a way like this? And we're trying to make the most of that, while keeping a blind eye to everything that's kind of going out there, but also trying to be respectful of the people that are having such a tough time, whether or not it's health or economy or things like that. And there are days that I read the news more than I should. And
yeah, for sure.
And
I mean, it was like, in some ways, for me personally, this is like a necessary course correction. Where obviously this is not how you want it to happen, but I think that I was not as present in my own life as much as I should be, like just constantly moving, constantly, what is the next thing? And I think that this is good for that. But at the same time, I'm like, I never really, this is not what I would not ever want the world to go through this. But at the same time, also like I've never realized that you could have fights over some of the stuff you could have. Like I literally, it's like I'm like, oh, you could literally, you know, bicker with somebody about anything. You know what I mean? When you're living on top of each other 24 hours for, you know, 2 months or a month and a half or whatever it is, you really realize that. You really realize that, like, and like you're like, wow, anything I say or do, I can make. Like I could just breathe and drive this person crazy.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. It is forcing everybody to stretch muscles that they have not had to stretch, socially, professionally, and I guess hopefully creatively for
Totally.
for artists, for sure. Is this how you've been spending your time, kind of working on this song and this video and this project that came out today?
Yeah, I've been working on this. What else have I been doing? I've been working on a couple other songs that maybe will follow this up. It's interesting because like my neighbor, like I live in a cul-de-sac, and my neighbors, I have like 3 musicians in my neighborhood, and so I've been writing with a couple of them. Like my buddy Matt Coma lives a couple houses over. I've been writing with him, and that's been fun. You know what I mean? Like we're obviously like doing it house to house, you know, so like we're not in the room with each other, but in some weird way that it's like making you use muscles that you, like you said, that you haven't really used. Organizing my house inside Animal Crossing, so not my real life house. And then I've had I've been doing a lot of Animal Crossing.
Good.
And then it's you know, like a journey inwards or looking deep inwards is sometimes a little terrifying, but it's been like really I think good for me to take stock of where I'm at and where, you know what I mean? Like kind of like what, and I've been doing it with a therapist, but at the same time, like also just in life in general, like what are things that you want to do better? What are things that what's a book you've never read that you thought always kind of blew off? You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of stuff in my life, like getting better at playing the piano. Like there's a lot of things that I've wanted to, you know, work on, and I don't know, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a reset that I think I don't know if anybody thought would come, but everyone should take advantage of, because everyone has that list, and if ever there was a time, like now is the time for sure. It's funny, I was looking at your guys' year kind of before all this got started. Everybody talks about what a shit year 2020 is. You guys were doing great. You guys were on Family Feud. You guys were on Price is Right.
Totally.
There was all this great stuff happening for you guys.
Totally.
The rest of the year is such a blur, and no one really knows. There have been a lot of asks in the comments, and I was curious myself. Is there anything you can tell us about Hell Omega? Do you know what's happening? Do you, in any word at all on that?
I don't feel like we know. You know what I mean? In the same way that, like, unfortunately, we get contradictory information like every day. It feels like to me at least, like, you know, like, and I don't want to give out contradictory information because I just don't know. I don't know anything any more than anyone else knows, and I think that goes to the top. I think that, like, you know, the like Live Nation or whoever is having these calls like once a week, I think, and I don't think they really know, because with that tour, obviously it's dependent on baseball stadiums, and baseball stadiums are dependent on baseball, and like who knows when that's going to start again. This is a thing that we've worked really hard for, the 3 bands, you know, so like it's been really important, and there was a lot of, you know, different massaging and figuring out like who's going to do what and that kind of stuff to get it to happen. So, like, we really do want it to happen. So I would just say that is that everybody who's involved wants it to happen, and we don't have any more information than anyone else has. But as soon as we do, we're obviously, the bands will share it, but I think it'll come from Live Nation before that, or it'll come, you know what I mean? Like, I think we'll know before that, but it's like, I don't know, you know, until, you know, there's obviously things that need to happen, you know, like whether it's testing ramp, all these things need to happen in order for like small things to start before people even start thinking about something like this, you know what I mean? And I think that live music is a really special, important thing to people. Not just this tour, but like, you know, not this tour, but I'm saying like in general, I think live music and that experience is so special to people that obviously see it coming back, and when it does, I think we will all, like, I know that the first show that Fall Out Boy plays back will be very special. You know what I mean? To me. So yeah, it's something that we all look forward to.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody with half a brain doesn't understand the fact that everybody involved wants those shows to happen as badly as possible. And,
Totally.
And if there's a safe way to make it happen, great. But if it's not safe, that would be the only reason that they didn't happen. It's just, it's, I don't want to say it's an easy decision, but it's pretty cut and dry. If it's safe, everybody's thrilled and wants it to happen. And if it's not safe, that would be the reason it doesn't.
Totally. And I mean, I think that, like, in this time, it's like an uncertain time for a lot of people, you know, and so I just think that you have to look ahead and know that at some point this is going to end, you know, and the world will move on, and you'll just, like, want to be able to, like, look back and say, like, this is how I spent my time. These are the things I did. These are my friends who I connected with. This is the art that I made. You know, I think that stuff is important to do, you know, like, knowing that that this is not going to be forever, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pete, I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
Hanging out with us. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. On the song, man, Cheap Cuts featuring Pete Wentz. The song is Check Your Phone, is out now. The video is out now. And you stay safe, man.
Thanks,
stay sane.
You as well.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time. Thanks, Pete.
Later, buddy.